agreed to do this, I didn't realize it was going to happen during the fourth quarter of that game. Jan and I are going to have a talk about that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to begin with a question. Does it make any sense to anybody, or is it in any way fair to anyone, that the two products you see represented up there would carry the same dispensing fee? And the answer should hopefully jump off the page and be obvious, and the answer is no, that they're not at all equal. Even if they were the same dollar amount, the one on the right has far stricter requirements in terms of recording and reporting, in terms of storage, in terms of security, and in terms of your regulatory risk. So one of the things, I'll just start with the end in mind. I'm gonna try to convince you that you need a dispensing fee that is over, above, and on top of your typical dispensing fee when you're dispensing controlled substances. And the next, this kind of just explains it in words. I have a really strong opinion that everything that happens in a veterinary clinic has got to be priced according to resources consumed. Let me give you a simple example. I would be willing to price lab work on well pets much lower than sick pets, because 80% of them are going to be well, therefore the doctor won't need to be involved. Okay, sick pets, 100% of them are going to require doctor involvement. Well, the doctor is the most precious, valuable, finite resource in the clinic, so if it's a sick pet, even if it's the same test, you've got to get paid more because the sick one's consuming a lot more resources. The drug, if I can find the page up button here, which I'm not sure I can, let's skip it here for you. Does this thing work? Show me, Joey, which one's the page up button?
Backwards?
Forward. Yeah, I'm with you. No, you were getting it. The drug on the left should require a dispensing fee that's, pick a number, $4 or $6 per dispensing, that represents your cost, your very real cost of safety, security, reporting, regulatory risk, and I think that's one of the, to me, that's a cost. It's a pass-through. I mean, all you're doing is you're acknowledging this is a cost. I mean, it's like a dispensing fee to begin with. The dispensing fee acknowledges that it costs you money to be a pharmacist, and that needs to be recovered in the course of dispensing. And this is recognizing that all these drugs are not equal. Some of them require more care and therefore are more expensive to handle, even beyond the sticker price of the drug itself. So it just seems fair and right and reasonable that if the controlled drug is going to consume more resources, then it ought to cost more in terms of a dispensing fee. And so to me, that's a fee that is akin to Jiffy Lube's oil disposal fee. It's like environmentally friendly. I figure I don't have any control over that. It's a pass-through. They got to do something with the old oil. I mean, there is a human in North America that's not really familiar with the opioid crisis right now. It's affected everyone. Okay, when they see that, you send 100 prescriptions out with an increased dispensing fee on controlled drugs. Call me if one person complains about that. Okay, and this is just fair because these series of drugs do consume more resources, and that's got to be reflected. About half your business is what I call professional service. 20% comes from diagnostics, hopefully, and about 30% from the sale of a product. Okay, so we know, and you see the numbers over on the right. Those come from the American Animal Hospital Association. And as I think down through these things, I think of are there areas where things are falling through the cracks? Let me give you an example at the lab. And I would tell you, first of all, it's 2020 now, and if you don't have bilateral two-way communication between your practice management system and your lab, you're missing 1 out of 5 in-house tests, 1 out of 10 reference lab. Okay, so the fastest growing part of your business and the most profitable part of your business, you're losing 20% of the in-house tests, 10%. So that's what happens when we require humans, even people who are good, even people who are detail-oriented, involved in a process. Okay? What happens when you automate that process? Well, what we saw in the lab is if I create a lab requisition, 2 things are going to happen. The results are going to go in the medical record, and the cost is going to go on the invoice. Those things cannot be overridden. Okay, so what happens? Well, if you've done that in your clinic, you know that the lab grew 20%, even though you didn't do any more lab work. Okay, because you just captured all that stuff that was falling through the cracks. What about pharmacy products? You know, we don't have as good as studies on that, but I don't have any refuse to believe it's any different than the lab. In other words, 1 out of 5, 1 out of 10 wouldn't surprise me at all, even if you have people that are careful and have attention to detail. So when I think of just, you know, the accountants always think of, you know, kind of the first thing is safeguarding of assets. You know, so I'm concerned about things getting stolen, things going out of date, things, you know, walking out of here, things not getting charged on invoices. All those kind of things kind of give me GI distress. So I'm always looking for opportunities where we can take human error out of the equation and make sure these items show up on the invoice and then ultimately in the medical record. So probably 30% of your business today is product related. And mischarges there. I mean, it's one thing if you give away your time in an exam room, and I would chastise you for that because the most valuable thing you have is your time. But when you give away like lab work or an item from the pharmacy, whether it's a controlled drug or not, it's even worse, right? Because now you're out real hard in cash because you had to buy that product. You had to pay the lab, you ran the reagent, you ran the snap test, you bought the pharmacy item. So you're not only out time, but you're also out the money. Not just the profit you would have made, but also the cost. And so of all the things that are sort of missed or given away, the most egregious to me are the pharmacy and the lab, because those are the two areas where you're out of pocket. It's not just giving your time away. I mean, you're physically parting with dollars here. So I'm always keen on trying to identify opportunities where we might be able to use technology to make the process more fail-safe. And this is one of those. You know, again, automation in the pharmacy is just like automation in the lab, in the sense that you just, technology takes human error out of the equation. We can't make an error. If you make a requisition for that product, the accounting is done, the DEA requirements are met, it showed up on an invoice, it showed up in, you know, the details of that dispensing are in the pet's medical record. I mean, and I don't know, after hearing Karen talk, I mean, I just, having that kind of certainty would make me sleep better at night. Does this stuff even matter? And just think of it like this. I mean, and I'm going to ask you to do a little math, and I know that's dangerous, but if 30% of your business is product sales, let's say you miss 10% of the charges, you can start to think of the math. So, you know, suddenly that's basically 3% of gross income, and you know, what percentage? 3%, you know, it's a direct to the bottom line. So let's say you got a 4-doctor clinic, and we give away $1,000 a month per doctor. That'd be pretty conservative, I think. So that adds up to what, $48,000 a year. So I'm going to round, let's call it $50,000. That's probably half of what it really would be. Okay, so now it's time to sell my clinic. So have I lost $50,000 a year? Yeah, I have. But now it's going to get really ugly, because in the year I sell, that $50,000, the multiples today on veterinary clinics, every dollar in net income is worth $5 or $10 to somebody. So it's not really a $50,000 problem at this point. It's a $250,000 or $500,000 problem. And so to me, it's like, okay, so I had inattention to detail. I didn't comply with the regulations, and I don't have a condo on the beach. You know, it's like triple whammy. And I can solve all those things and it's just one of those things where, and I'll tell you this straight up, I would fully expect that my increased dispensing fee on controlled drugs would fully pay for my QBEX operation. That I'm going to let my clients buy $4 a prescription or $5 a prescription or whatever. I'm going to let them pay for my regulatory costs, because they're ultimately buying everything here anyway. I mean, I have to pass all my costs through to them anyway, plus some. So I'm not going to be shy about it. I mean, there's nobody that doesn't know about the opioid crisis. There's no one I know that's not interested in doing something to try to mitigate the problem.